Put your hands out and give them a nice big wave. Hopefully they'll wave back to us as well. They're then going to make their way down into the pool, and then they're going to make their way over to the stands at the front here. Now most of the display is going to take place on these stands on our beach area here, so you will be able to get a nice close look at the sea lions. And you may notice Carly's just gone to let out another one of our sea lions. Now this is our young male, whose name is Elmo. Now Elmo's only just started to be used in the displays at the moment. He is actually still training, and he's only just approaching 5 years of age now, so he's still quite an experienced sea lion. And so if he does do well in our display today, he needs some extra encouragement just to let him know that he's doing a good job. So if we can have lots of clapping and lots of cheering for Elmo, that'll be very much appreciated. So now they're nice and close, I'll introduce you to each of them. So on the far side on his own there, this is little Elmo, if everyone wants to give him a nice big wave. And then in the middle, we have our two females. So on the left-hand side, as you're looking at it, we have Anya, and Anya is 7 years of age. And then next to her, we have her sister Gina, who is 10 years of age as well. Now these two are actually sisters, and they love each other very much. They can be very affectionate towards each other, but they can sometimes get a bit embarrassed with all these people watching, but never mind, there's nothing too much to worry about. Now you may also see them giving themselves a bit of a cheeky round of applause in the display today. If you see them do this, let's give them a nice big round of applause and let them know they're doing well for us. Now the first thing we're going to look at in our display today is the difference between seals and sea lions. Now if there's one thing our sea lions don't like, is to be confused with seals. You don't like that one bit, do you guys? No. So as you can see, they want to make sure that we're calling them the right thing. And the seals and sea lions are obviously very closely related, but there are a number of ways to be able to tell them apart. So the first thing we can show you is on the side of our sea lions' heads. You may notice that they have two small flaps of skin. Now these are actually their ears, and it's an external ear like our own, and this is very noticeable on the side of a sea lion's head. Now if they were a seal, they wouldn't have this, they would just be a small hole covered by fur, which leads down to an internal ear. So that is one very, very noticeable difference. So if you do see anything on the sides of their heads there, they are a sea lion and not a seal. The next thing we can do is ask the sea lions to put out their big front flippers for us. Are you going to do that, guys? Come on, Elmo. There we go. Now you can see, if you compare the size of Elmo's flippers there to the size of Carly's hand, they are considerably larger. They're about 3 times the size of our own. Now if they were a seal, they would only be around the same size as our own hands, because seals actually use the back half of their body to generate all their power, and that is how they actually swim in the water. They only use their front flippers to actually steer themselves around. Now we can demonstrate this a bit further by watching how our animals are able to move. So if you watch Gina here, you'll see she can be able to prop herself up off the ground with those big powerful front flippers. She's able to walk in an upright position, she's able to support all of her body weight, and she can even run on land as well. Now that's very, very different to how a seal moves on land. So Gina, do you think you could show us how a seal moves? So as you can see, if she was a seal, she would use her back flippers to push herself along on her belly, and she wouldn't have those big front flippers to be able to support her body weight. And I think that was an excellent impression there from Gina, so let's give her a nice big round of applause. Well done, Gina. Now all of this is made possible through training, and the training method we use here at Blackpool Zoo is relatively simple, but it's very effective, and it's called positive reinforcement. Now it all relies on trust between the trainers and sea lions. We ask them to do something correctly. If they do that correctly, they're greeted with a blast of the whistle that you can see Carly's got in his hand there. That lets them know that they've done it right, and then they're rewarded with a piece of fish. And every new behaviour we do begins with a target stick you can see in Carly's hand. Now this is just a broom handle with some coloured tape on the end, and the colour isn't important because they don't actually see in colour. It just needs to be a different shade. And any new behaviour we begin with asking them to touch this target stick. So it may be touching their nose to it, or touching their flipper to it, or following it into a various different position. And you'll see that Elmo knows exactly what that target stick means. He knows he needs to follow it around, and he knows exactly what he's being asked to do. Now that's obviously much better for the sea lions if we need to move them around, because it means we don't have to net them or restrain them in any way. They'll simply follow that target stick voluntarily, which means we can move them around the enclosure. Now as I said, Elmo is still a youngster, which means he's a little bit kind of overzealous sometimes, but he isn't naughty, he's just a little bit kind of enthusiastic. So you can see still follow that target stick anywhere he goes, so let's give him a nice big round of applause. Well done, Elmo. Now at the start of the display, you saw our two girls give each other a nice big kiss, and we can actually show you how that's achieved. So we use this target stick first of all to put in front of one of their noses, and we ask them to touch their nose to it. We then put it in between both their noses at the same time and get them both to touch. And after a while we can also add in a hand signal to accompany this. Now the sea lions are very intelligent, and after a while they start to associate this hand signal with what they're being asked to do, and eventually we can take the target stick away altogether and just use the hand signal, and they'll give each other a nice big kiss. There we go. Let's give them a nice big round of applause. Well done, girls. Now, this also allows us to show you some of the natural abilities that our sea lions have. Now, sea lions are very good hunters. They can hunt over 50 different species of fish as well as squid out in the wild. And to do this, they have various different things on their body. The first one is their forward-facing eyes, which can judge distance and depth. And they also have a long and agile neck. And they can use these to try and catch the fish as they swim past. Now you can see Carly's got some hoops in his hand there, and what he's going to do is he's going to try and throw these towards Elmo, who's going to use those things to catch them over his head. So as I said, he is still learning, so let's give him a big cheer if he's able to do this. There's number 1, there's number 2, number 3, let's give him a big cheer if he catches the last one. It's going to spin, it's going to be more difficult. There we go, fantastic, well done Elmo. Now, as I said, he is still developing, and it can take anywhere from a year to 3 years to actually learn each of these new behaviours. And that's with training sessions up to 4 or 5 times a day. Now, obviously, over time, they do get much better at these behaviours, and our females are much more experienced, and we can show you just what they're capable of. So if we take Gina down to the water, this time she's going to do the same thing, but she has to catch them from much further away, and also while she's swimming as well. So here comes hoop number 1, here comes hoop number 2, here comes number 3, and can she make it 4 from 4? Let's give her a big cheer. Well done, absolutely fantastic. Well done, Gina. So you can see how easy she made that look, but it is very, very difficult indeed. Even though it relies on some of their natural abilities, it isn't something they're born just being able to do. It is something that takes an awful lot of time and an awful lot of effort to get to. Now, as well as their eyes and their neck out in the wild, they also use their whiskers, and they heavily rely on these to be able to hunt. Now, sea lions are capable of diving to depths of 500 metres, and down there it's very dark and they can't rely on their eyesight. So what they do is use these whiskers to sense tiny little vibrations given off by prey as they swim past, and that allows them to home in on what they're trying to catch. Now we can demonstrate this using the ball here. You can see Elmo's whiskers are up on their end, and they're touching the ball at all of its different points, allowing him to adjust his body and keep that ball balanced on his nose. Now this is something he hasn't been doing for too long, and he's very, very good at it. He's picking it up very, very quickly, and I think he deserves a nice big round of applause. Well done, Elmo. Now we can make